This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Head to Morley Market in Leeds to see the life-size Darth Vader. Alternatively, reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Follow at SW Commonwealth on Twitter and take your first steps into a larger world. This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast at talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone and welcome back to Talk Star Wars. I'm Mark.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Paul.
And we're back with episode 43, another Steve-less episode, unfortunately. More technical issues in the Naked household.
Yes, he's sleeveless and we're Steveless.
Yep.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
There's a t-shirt right there.
Maybe you should be writing the raps.
Yeah. That's good. Let's get off. Let's start with that, Rob, and bring everyone up to speed, because I'm sure if they're listening to Tumbling Saver, they know it from their side of things. But
of course, yeah. So from our side of things, so we'll give a bit of background. So it would have been, I think James was right, it's probably about 6 weeks to 2 months ago, wasn't it?
Yes.
We were talking on here about James's golfing rap, and I was saying about how much I enjoyed it and how much it made me want to do something similar and do kind of some sort of word-related fun. So he took that as a challenge and kind of said, let's do a rap battle. So on this Thursday's After Dark Side will be my first attempt ever at any kind of rapping in order to introduce myself and kind of not properly call out, but kind of have a bit of fun with calling out James to join me in the arena. It's a lot of fun.
Are you MC Walken?
I'm MC Big Wicket from our conversation last week about big Ewoks, because James
big bales.
James pointed out what a good name Big Wicket was for so it's kind of evolved from there. So MC Big Wicket makes his debut on this Thursday's After Dark Side.
That's brilliant.
Awesomeness.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I had a lot of fun doing it. So if everybody has as much fun listening to it, then I'll be a happy man.
Well, I did. I listened after you sent it to me. I listened to it about 3 times.
Apparently, James has done dozens in a row.
Yeah,
just over and over again.
I was having a little chuckle to myself. It was good.
It's good. Yeah, I had a bit of fun with it, and obviously you could hear I was quite. I thought the best line in it, from my point of view, was the one I did for you, Mark.
Yeah.
But obviously,
let's not spoil it.
But everybody on Talk Star Wars gets a mention, including you, Paul.
Oh, good grief!
Yours is quite light because I only know little bits about you, so I kind of did my best with the information I had.
Okay, well, it gets dark and worrying, so stay. Yeah, best. Let's leave it as it is.
Just scratch the surface, and that should be enough.
Yeah.
But, look forward to that this Thursday.
Okay, right. Just a quick reminder that our sponsors, Blue Harvest Vintage, are offering a 10% discount on orders when you tell them that we sent you. So head over to facebook.com/Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, or follow them on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK. Mention us and you'll save yourself a pretty penny, because they do some really gorgeous collectibles down there.
Nice stuff in there, mate.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's lovely stuff.
Don't forget to check. I'm trying to get them some love on Twitter this evening. Love. All right, a couple of little announcement bits. Just before we really get stuck into things, it's probably worth mentioning that there's not going to be a lot. I don't imagine there'll be a lot of Star Wars news on this episode, because we've got a lot of listener feedback, questions and comments to get to.
Which is equally important, frankly.
Way more important to me. I think it's probably going to be time well spent, because some of this stuff is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we are family, so.
Indeed. Right, let's get into a couple of little announcement bits from around the network. So Ads has joined us on Facebook this week.
Woo!
I've also kicked off a VIP only Facebook group. and ads is in there also. It's a little place for the VIPs to gather and chit chat and share ideas and hopefully not gang up and seize control of the podcast, but you never know. It could happen.
We may end up with no news ever, which might be always listener questions and comments and stuff. But that would be not a bad problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. We might end up having to be evacuated by Ben Affleck pretending to make a sci-fi movie.
We may end up Talk Star Wars News being a separate show that spins out 3 shows on the Talk Star Wars website.
Yeah, podcasting for 18 hours a week. So in addition to ads, join us on Facebook. The guys over at Tumbling Saber subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Which is just in time for my vlogs, because I started vlogging this week.
I saw. I enjoyed them.
I should be telling you a little bit more about why on the After Dark side.
I haven't seen that. I'm going to.
Dude, it's amazing. There's a bit in it. I can do it. I can tell you my favourite bit without going into detail about the video.
Very excited.
No, it's really funny because Mark uses the phrase, "We've got it's something to the effect of like we've got a lot of time together.
We've got a long way to go together.
Long way to go together," and he just looks up and goes, "And I've lost the dog." And I don't know why it's amusing me so, but I almost fell off my chair with that one.
I was trying to stay
no more spoilers.
Focused on what I was doing because obviously there's I'm in a big field.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say animals and children, mate.
Yeah,
it was big field. It's big info.
Yeah, big field, big info, and a lot of distractions. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So I'll give you a bit of an idea as to why I started that in the After Dark side this week. Anyway, we mentioned the VIP Facebook group. So yeah, all your VIPs, look, people have responded last week to a couple of challenges, I guess, with regards to voicemail. Everyone's been quick on the uptake. So if you haven't taken up this invite to go to join a Facebook group, then get on it, because there's a lot of stuff going on in there already. I've seen Jeremy posting videos in there like wildfire. So jump on to that. And if you're interested in becoming a VIP, just head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support, and there's details there on how to do that. And if you do that now, what day is this guy? If you do that now, there will be hopefully a fresh audio commentary in that feed for Star Wars: A New Hope, unless I get voted down. Let's get to the review section, because I'm really keen to get to some of this listener com stuff.
Yes.
So don't forget that you can take advantage of our Ron Burgundy policy. That means that whatever you write in your 5-star review, I will read verbatim. So if you want to promote your podcast or your blog, this is where to do it. There's only one rule: no hate speak or profanity. I know that's 2 things, but it's one rule. After all, we are a family show. Now, this review made me smile this week. Did you guys get to read this ahead of time?
I did.
Yep.
So funny. So this is from
it's quite delightful, actually.
Eddie Pinardo, who you may remember we mentioned a couple of weeks ago when he liked the Facebook page. And Steve made a couple of very dubious comments. So
okay,
this is Eddie's absolutely splendid. If I had to review this review, it would get 6 stars out of 5.
It is wonderful.
We should review. So,
but then I want a review on my review of the review. That's
and down.
Yo,
and down
dog,
you
I
go.
think you like reviews. So I reviewed your review of your review of your review.
It's the Mobius strip again, Paul.
It's Pimp My Ride review edition.
All right, so this is Eddie's review. So this review will be on the air. So much power. To start with, you guys are awesome. ? I think that's a little tip of the hat to Ron. That's Ron Burgundy. You guys are awesome. You're entertaining, but also informative in a fun way. Although I do think Mark's aggressively awkward fascination with Justin Bieber is a bit weird. I also feel that Paul needs to stop trying to make the Jar Jar / Greedo romantic scene happen. Let it go. It's not going to happen. Rob, your deep, deep yearning for My Little Pony is also weird, but whatever. And then there's Steve. Steve, depending on the time of day, if you hit my tummy with a stick, candy is not what you'll get out of me. He's walking so close to that family line.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I, for one, like America and Mexico, but don't worry, I also profile people. Being from America / Seattle and Mexico in brackets, All I think of when I hear you guys talking is Mr. Bean, Stephen Fry, Martin Freeman, and Margaret Thatcher. I'll let you guys decide
We're not
which
remotely
one you are.
pigeonholed then.
I've got to be Mr. Bean. There's no way that I am not going to be Mr. Bean.
Wait, hold on. Not sure I like where this is going.
Rob, did you want to read this next line?
Right, okay. Blimey. Okay. I'll let you guys decide which one you are. Just because it's taken you 3 years to notice Ron doesn't mean no one else has spotted I'm a girl. So I just wanted to hear a Harry Potter quote read by a British person, as opposed to all those Harry Potter quotes read by Americans.
Okay, right. He finishes off by saying, keep up the good work. If you're reading this review and you like Star Wars and you don't listen to this podcast, and stop wasting your life and start listening. Eddie Pinata, out. That is absolutely first class.
Muchas gracias.
Absolutely first class. Thank you for that, Eddie. You're a gentleman.
Yeah, it was awesome.
There's someone that really gets what we're doing with this whole Ron Burgundy thing.
Yes, he really has got into the spirit of that.
He has nailed it with that. Absolutely superb. Thanks, Eddie. Right, superstar.
Hang on.
What's up, mate?
Didn't you say something about not being a guy?
Yeah. What? No, it's a quote. It's just a quote.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It literally says.
Oh, yeah. No.
You can tell, Paul, because the words after is, I just wanted to hear a Harry Potter quote read by a British person.
Okay.
It's not Edie Pinata.
Okay. No, I didn't say that. I saw I'm a girl and I thought, hang on, Eddie could be a girl.
Yeah, it could be.
Anyway.
I don't think it is, though.
I see another review coming from Eddie at some point. So let's get on the listener comms, because this is the part that I'm really looking forward to. So don't forget, you can send us your questions and comments via Twitter, Facebook, or send us an email at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. And now you can send us voicemails quickly and easily and get your voice on the show, which is where it belongs. I must just give a little bit of a warning. There are settings on the iPhone that if you send us a voicemail, it will self-destruct, which happened to me this week.
Sure, that's not the Note 7?
No, it's definitely no. The actual phone, the Note 7 will destruct and probably take your leg with it. I must point out that was not intended as a factual statement for legal reasons.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah,
you get a nice apple crumble. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the voicemail will delete itself after 2 minutes unless you change the settings on your iPhone.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I previewed Stacey's voicemail this week, and when I went back to get it into the show,
gone.
It was gone. So
yeah.
But fortunately, Chris sorted that out for us, and we're good to go. So we're going to start off with a little voicemail. It's not a question, but it is one of the loveliest things we've been sent so far. And this is from Nathan Kenobi.
Hello, Talk Star Wars. This is Nathan Kenobi reporting as requested. Just wanted to send in a message of appreciation, guys. I think what you're doing is great. I discovered Talk Star Wars a few months ago, and it's become a regular on my podcast list. You know, your guys' takes on the news, your answers to the listener questions. It's always a great and entertaining discussion. You guys are great at podcasting. What more can I say? Mark, you are on top of that social media stuff. Man, keep that up. But yeah, generally just keep up the good work, guys. Love what you're doing. You guys are going to go far. All right. Take care, guys. May the force be with you.
Superb.
Thank you, Master. That was awesome.
What a wonderful message.
I liked you went for the kind of Nathan Kenobi.
Yeah, it was very Ewan.
I love it. Yeah.
Very
He went for it. I love it.
Classy stuff. Thanks for that, Nathan. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very, very lovely to hear.
It is. And the next written question this week, or the first written question this week, is from someone I actually live with, my good lady wife. So I'll take this one.
Poppy?
Yeah, it's from Poppy. Poppy says, take me for a walk and throw my ball. Yeah. Right, it's from Lisa. Dear Mark, Steve, Rob, and Paul, of course. No Steve this week. As a regular listener to Talk Star Wars, I have not missed an episode yet. I would like to be considered for question of the week. Well, we can't do that because it will be rigged, because you cooked my dinner this evening. I was wondering what you all thought of the following. I actually think this question is really good, really cool. If you were to go back over the Star Wars franchise, what character do you feel should have been killed off but wasn't? And which character would you resurrect due to what may be, in your opinion, a wrongful death? Look forward to hearing your thoughts. Lots of love, Lisa. So
Great minds think alike, Lisa, because I sent this question to Tumbling Saber a couple of months ago.
Oh, did you really? She doesn't listen to Tumbling Saber.
They had a brilliant discussion about it. Mine was slightly different. Mine was you can bring in a character from Legends there and then, but you have to pull a character from canon, and it can't be from the prequels.
Right. Okay.
So I sort of it was a slightly different take on it, but I did a similar thing, and the discussion about who should die was very interesting because I told them they can't say Jar Jar Binks because that's an easy one.
Yeah, I think that should probably be the rule that we roll into this as well,
that's
because
fair, yeah.
that's a cop out, really, isn't it? So.
Yeah, agreed.
Paul, let's start with you. If you were gonna,
come on, this is wham bam. This is an interesting one. Seriously.
Do you want to start easily and go with one that you kill off?
To be honest, one of my, I mean, it wasn't actually that they were killed off, but they were killed off. But it was in the greater scheme of things because it just happened to be part of a rather large event, and that would have been Tarkin.
Yeah, that came up. Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, we talked about last week how it would have been nice to see him without a super weapon at his back.
Well, I just wanted to see more Cushing in the trilogy.
Well, there is, that's fair.
As well.
Yeah,
so
also fair.
But no, Tarkin was also really, it could have been an interesting character because Vader had a certain amount of paralleled respect for him as well, and I think that could have gone somewhere. So from the point of view of resurrection, it would be that one. From the point of view of something they could get rid of, I think it would have been interesting to maybe get rid of. Well, I'm going to say it out loud, Leia, I suppose.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Because she's a big backbone in that triangle, and if that triangle had a piece missing, would have been this is purely from an interesting point, an interest point of view where the storyline might have gone. How would Luke have dealt with that as a brother, still finding out, and how would Han dealt with that? Would he have just scooted away, or because he does have, whether you like it or not, he does have some kind of love for the Rebel Alliance as well. So. She would have been a good, the fulcrum in the seesaw. Pull it out and see what happens.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good call.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
It's bold. I'll give you that.
Bold.
Definitely.
Only
bold.
you could be so bold.
Yeah. Rob?
She says that to Tarkin.
She does. This is true. Let me think. So I'm going to go bold as well, actually, in the spirit. Paul has inspired me. So I would resurrect. No, actually. Well, the resurrect one is the one I'm struggling with.
I've got that one down.
Okay, I'll tell you the death one, the one you kill off earlier.
Go on then.
I would go with the original Harrison Ford idea and kill him off and kill Han Solo off at the end of Jedi.
That was where I was gonna go.
That's
the weight you want to add to things.
One of the sort of Ewoks with more screen time, just for like a bit of extra.
Of all the things, who speared first?
Who would I resurrect? The trouble is, there's nobody really that jumps out at me as one that was really kind of. Again, Tarkin's a good one because it's.
Tarkin's a great one for the reasons we discussed last week.
Yeah,
absolutely a brilliant one.
I will go for. I would bring Qui-Gon back until midway through episode 2.
I
would have episode 2 set much earlier and have a bigger gap and basically kind of split episode 2 and make part of episode 2 episode 3, I guess. I'm not really. I don't know.
Yeah. But bringing him back would be a good one.
Yeah, either that or Dooku lingers around a bit longer because he's also fascinating.
Yeah,
but Qui-Gon, I'd keep Qui-Gon around a bit longer. I'd still kill him off.
I'd like to see more of Qui-Gon as a Force ghost and having more involved from Beyond the Grave. I guess they didn't because of Liam Neeson, maybe.
I'd like to have seen him with a better script.
Yeah. There's that as well. I would go bold. Am I allowed to do the same? Am I allowed to call the same one as you, Rob?
I don't see why not.
I would go. That was my first thought was Han Solo at the end of Jedi. He wanted to give the story weight and have someone sacrifice themselves. And if you did it at the start of the third act, you'd be spending the rest of the film wondering just who was going to go.
Yeah, and also you'd be rooting for the rebels to succeed that much more because they took out one of your favorite characters, the Empire, so you hate them.
Yeah.
Either that, you kill Chewie off in Episode 7 instead.
No, that's not happening. I forbid it. If
All right,
that happens, I shut a talk Star Wars.
No, instead of Han. I mean, in Episode 7.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry, no, I don't mean in Episode 8.
Bristly because I really don't want that to happen.
No, that's fine. I don't mean Episode 8.
The person I'd bring back would be Darth Maul.
But he is back.
Yeah, but I'd bring him back in the movies so that
you'd have him sort of live to fight another day, maybe a bit maimed.
Not Grievous.
Okay.
I would replace Grievous with Maul.
Interesting.
In fact, I'm going
Grievous. Yeah.
I'm going to send the Tumbling Saber guys a question for this week's show that if they get space for it, I think will be quite thought provoking and might you get the general flavour of that from my answer there. But I would bring back Maul, and I'd rather have him in Episode 2 than Grievous with the mechanical legs and things like that. You know.
Yeah.
That would be the way I'd go with that.
Okay.
That's a great question.
It's a good question.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah.
Who is upstairs?
I was going to say, how you might want to shout a bit louder if you want to hear.
Yeah, I don't.
That's definitely worth some flowers, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, God, now I've got to do that.
And take the dog for a walk all week.
Well, that happens all the time.
That happens anyway.
No one says it's worth an Aston Martin.
She never has to know. You got control of the edit.
All right, we got a question from Dave Donovan this week.
Yes.
Actually, we got a couple of questions from Dave Donovan. Rob, I think it might be best if you take this one, seeing as you are called out in it.
Okay, cool. So on the Knights of Ren, he writes, just listening to your latest episode regarding the new ships. Report from filming over here had the Knights of Ren kneeling at a ship set as someone or something arrives. No other details, but presumably Kylo arriving on Arc 2 or maybe even Snoke. Do we want to talk about that first, or do you want me to move on?
Yeah, no, we can kick this around. I think we've mentioned this on the show before, haven't we? This when the leak first came out.
I meant to bring something up about this. Do you remember there was a set photo leak that showed a large alien creature?
Yep.
In the background of the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What if one of two things? Either that's what Snoke is full sized. So he's actually even bigger than he's not as big as his hologram, but he's still bigger than a normal humanoid for whatever reason. Or a manifestation of him in a Force vision. Similar to what Luke faced in the cave on Dagobah.
Yeah.
So a kind of manifestation of ultimate fear.
Either of those is a pretty cool option. I'd be surprised if we see him doing any personal appearances, to be honest. No. I think he'd want to keep himself at arm's length all the time. But
like a warped version of him from her imagination might be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Might be nice. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's likely that that's the case?
What, with the ships?
Yeah, do you think it's Kylo, maybe?
Yeah.
I think it's Kylo.
Yeah, I think it's Kylo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I absolutely bought into that rumour at the start that they were kneeling waiting for Kylo. But the thing I stuck on when that first came up was that the ship appeared to have crashed. There was smoke or steam or something all around it. And so do you remember us speculating that Luke might pull it down out of the atmosphere or something like that? But
maybe. The other option
might
is
shoot it down.
We did see a lot of smoke coming off the shuttle as he was getting off it in Episode 7.
Yeah, so it's probably just like a ramp, isn't it?
It could be something like that, where we're just not seeing the whole set because it's obscured or because they're going to CG some of it in. That sort of thing might be. We might not have the full picture to work from.
Yes.
Shall I move on to the next bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so he goes on to say, on the subject of the Poe-Finn shipping that we were discussing last week, also, you can tell Rob, I'm a gayer. Okay.
There you go.
And I really, really don't want to see Finn and Poe become a gay thing. I don't want to see it in Star Wars at all. It will date immediately and scream tokenism. Different time when they had to get a Billy D. Williams into Empire, because that was a different thing at a different time, and still is a bit tokenistic. But the gay thing, please God, no. It just isn't necessary at all. And you won't hear the gay lobby screaming about it if they don't. I don't think so anyway. Just no need for it in Star Wars. Even a romance in this trilogy between two straight characters is unnecessary, as it will never top Han and Leia and how brilliantly that was portrayed and performed. Rant over. I actually think he's spot. Yeah. I actually would say there's no need for romance in the trilogy at all.
Yeah.
Because he's absolutely right. The Han and Leia's is so powerful.
Don't focus on the gay thing. Focus on the interracial.
If we're going to open a can of worms. I think that's really. I think he's
Signed
made
for a shipment of worms with that one.
Yeah, he's made a really, really good point there about tokenism.
I'm absolutely fine with there being no romantic subplots at all.
Yeah, I mean a bit of romance.
Yeah, when Luke and Han started just the little bickering, wasn't even bickering, but the tiny vocal thing in the cockpit of the Falcon and so on. It was like I was like 8, and I'm like, please don't go down that avenue. But they did work it out with Han and Leia. That was quite interesting because she was a princess, he was a pirate, so it was different. And we'd not been there before, but now you've been down that avenue. There's none left really. So
yeah, that's it. I'm with Dave on that one. I think it would smack of, we're doing this because reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
as I was saying about last week.
Still depends on the producers. Lucasfilm, doesn't it?
Well, it depends. Yeah, I mean, We're
at the mercy of Disney and Lucasfilm at the same time. So.
There probably will be a romance central to this trilogy.
Maybe. Well, they might tease one, but it never materializes, for example.
But much in the way as Han and Leia's relationship was the center of the original trilogy, we could see that Finn has a relationship with the new star, Kelly Marie Tran, because we see that they spend a lot of time, or the rumor is they spend a lot of time together. So it could be that that's a central element in Finn's development as a character. Maybe. And it will take place just left of our central character being Rey. So we don't have to see Rey diminish herself in any way by becoming somebody's love interest. She can purely have that center stage that Luke had in the original trilogy, where he didn't get sidetracked by any of that trivial stuff. But you still got to keep that romantic note that played all the way through it, which was done, like Dave points out, exceptionally well with Han and Leia.
Yeah,
it didn't work out quite so well between Anakin and Padme in the prequels. The chemistry just wasn't there. So if they've got the chemistry right with whoever it is in these new films, then great.
They're not painting. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead, Paul. They're not painting.
I was going to say they're not painting Rey in that image at all. Anyway,
no.
I mean, to be honest, she comes across she's a scavenger tomboy. Just happens to be damned attractive, and she just gets a finger out and does stuff. It's just as simple as that. She's not being portrayed remote. Whereas they did give Leia that feminism approach then, but it was 1976 for crying out loud. So
yeah, true. Yeah,
no,
I'm with Dave on that one. I think it would be it's unnecessary, so we can hope that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I've got to give him bonus points for the line "I am a gayer." That's fantastic.
I wonder if he's the only one in this village.
That's great stuff. Thanks, Dave.
Yes, thank you, Dave.
Big time, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Right, who's ready for another voicemail? This only came in this evening.
Oh, okay.
Just make a note of the time code. Okay. I just need to get this up. This is from our good friend, James. Well,
nice.
Friend to some of us, rap nemesis to others.
Okay,
here we go.
Hello, boys at Talk Star Wars. James here at Tumbling Saber, sending a big hello from across the pond in Canada, eh? Question this week is about Yoda, the Bendu, and the Grafe area of the Force. My concern is that this new direction, this new Force option, will somehow diminish Yoda's legacy. To me, a wise Jedi Master like Yoda, who has 900 years to meditate on the Force, should probably have at least mentioned the Grey to Luke in the original trilogy. I mean, we should have heard about it at some point before now. What do you guys think? Thanks for your time, boys, and I can't wait to hear Rob's first dope verse. Peace out.
That's great stuff. Thanks, James.
Yo, yo, yo.
What do
Yo,
we
yo,
make?
yo.
What do we make? Right, the Bendu thing is from Rebels, right? And
Yes.
we haven't gotten to see that yet, have we? Because
No, we have, but we've seen him in the.
We know
he's in
the-
the teaser and the trailer and
we
stuff,
know
and he
the
talks about
Bendu
the
is.
balance there.
So, what do we think about the thoughts that a grey version of the Force, not being mentioned in the OT, will diminish Yoda's legacy in some way?
I don't think it has that big an impact, to be honest. They can bring these things in because you generally find that, certainly with the Jedi, because you don't get this kind of talk from the Sith, certainly from the Jedi, they only really go into any explanation and any description when it is in context and necessary. So these things can be, they can just be shoehorned in, if for want of a better word. They do talk about, you've come across this. Why haven't you spoken about this before? Well, it wouldn't, it just wasn't necessary. It can get like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see any reason why that couldn't be the case.
I do kind of see where James is coming from, though, because obviously the original trilogy paints Yoda as the wisest character in the whole galaxy, because obviously he's the one who completes Luke's training, as it were. But I mean, the prequels, I think, have already started to add some fallibility to his character just by the very nature of him not being able to see the Sith coming. And but then they made a good point on Tumbling Saber, which is that Yoda is not old enough to have encountered the Sith. So it's only something he's read about.
Yeah. The other thing as well is there's an argument to be made that prequel era Yoda was mired by that sort of dogma that the Jedi were steeped in.
Yeah.
And he didn't really start learning until the end of that trilogy, at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Or during the events of Revenge of the Sith when he was communing with Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
So he'd started to broaden his mind. Qui-Gon might have been the wisest Jedi that we've seen on screen yet, because he knew about the living Force. He knew about how to make that transition from your corporeal self to becoming one with the Force.
Yeah.
And he ended up teaching Yoda that skill. So Yoda didn't really start. He wasn't free thinking until the very end of the prequel trilogy, and then everything that he did in the original trilogy was very focused on one act.
Yeah.
Like ridding the galaxy of the Sith.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Vader, getting rid of Palpatino. And he needed to stay, like, Luke's training was very brief and very focused.
Yeah.
And there probably wasn't the
rushed,
time
wasn't it?
to school him in everything. I mean, James, the point James is making, central to his question is, does it diminish Yoda in any way? I guess there's argument to say that it will, because it just proves how ignorant the Jedi were, and Yoda represents the Jedi to us in the OT, because there isn't anyone else there. But doesn't mean he hadn't learnt about it from Qui-Gon whilst he was communing on Dagobah.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing to keep in mind as well is that Yoda's mission in the original trilogy is to help Luke avoid his father's fate and slip to the dark side. So the only way to do that is to teach him that the light is the only way.
Absolutes.
So it's entirely possible that it could be. It's a little bit of mental gymnastics required, a touch of that, but it does. It can be. The argument can be made that Yoda was aware of this stuff after the events of Revenge of the Sith, but chose not to communicate it to Luke because he didn't have enough time to go into all the intricacy.
Exactly, yeah. Didn't have the time.
Yeah.
But
and obviously in Jedi, there's more important things to talk about, like his Darth Vader, my father.
Yeah. And the other thing is the juxtaposition of those elements also helps embolden Luke's character, because Luke seems to have learn about the grey side of the Force himself, having wandered perilously close to the dark side and managed to bring himself back through compassion and the discipline that comes with it. And, we're assuming that what happens in this new series of films is that he is a balanced grey Jedi, if that even is a thing. It might be that Rebels sets up the concept for us ahead of Episode 8, but that just helps. You know, it might diminish Yoda a little bit, it might shortchange Yoda a little bit, but it's all for the benefit of propping up the character of Luke, and it focuses his accomplishments a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, and like I say, it does kind of. I think while it doesn't necessarily diminish Yoda, his presence in the prequels, what it does do is highlight the power of the Sith to kind of blur the lines and to cloud the judgment of the Jedi around them. So the fact that they're so powerful and able to influence things to the point where the Jedi are kind of aware that something's not right, but they can't put their finger on it.
Yeah,
because they do talk about it.
They take advantage. The Sith take advantage of the Jedi's complacency.
Yeah, exactly. So they, so there is kind of. I do understand that. You know, I understand where James is coming from, and I do think he makes a very good point, which is that is a risk. But I think that there are ways to kind of to work around that mentally.
Yeah. Okay, it's something that it's expanding the Star Wars universe. It's things that we need to learn to fold into our canon and our understanding of how Star Wars works. And if these things weren't in place, we'd all be complaining.
Well, we
don't want the same old. We want this thing to grow and change in front of us. Mm-hmm. It's great stuff. Thank you, James.
Yes, thanks, James.
Thanks for taking the time to record that voicemail. It's superb.
Yes.
Okay. And the second part of the Tumbling Saber trio, Corey, I've got a quick message from him as well. He says, good day, Mark. Don't feel bad that he didn't mention any of you.
That's fine. No, that's fine. I've made my peace with it.
I hope you're enjoying your time off. Again, that's a very focused personal comment because he knew I had a few days off. I don't want you guys to feel bad that I had days off.
Coming up, so don't worry about it.
I was also thinking, we'd been having a conversation, so that's why this is out of context a little bit. Where does Ahsoka get her white lightsabers? We've yet to see a white saber or crystal. Maybe the upcoming novel will flesh it out a bit, but I'm curious what you boys thought. What do you make of Ahsoka's white lightsabers? Paul, are you familiar with this?
I'm not familiar with that, I'm afraid. So.
No, this is Rebels. The character of Ahsoka in Rebels when she was in the Clone Wars.
Is she the only one? Hence the question.
With white sabers, yeah, I believe so. Yeah. And in the Clone Wars, she had green lightsabers.
Yes. She had one green, one yellow, didn't she?
Oh, was it?
I think so.
I'm not sure. She had one slightly smaller one, didn't she? But yeah, okay. What do we think? What does the white crystal? There's two ways of looking at this. There's a way of looking at it in canon, and then there's a way of looking at what the filmmakers, what the creators are trying to tell us.
I think it might be something we might see in the books.
You think they might go back and expand on
where
those crystals came from?
I'm not 100% clear on where in the timeline the new book is set. I know they have discussed it. I think it's designed to go between
Sith and Rebels.
Yeah, Sith and Rebels. So I think it would be interesting to see that. I think that would be, if we're going to get it, I think that's going to be where. Otherwise, they might just leave it entirely up to, imagination.
Yeah, we've said before we don't need answers to everything, haven't we?
Oh, Paul, you just sent.
That's a great picture, Paul.
Yeah, I think you've just. I need to correct then. It looks like it is two green ones.
Green.
Yeah, I thought it was a green and a yellow for some reason.
Paul, what do you think?
Well, that's only one shot of grab, but.
What do you think they're trying to communicate to us, Paul, with the white use of the white lightsabers? From a filmmaking, storytelling perspective.
There's a uniqueness there for some reason. Mm-hmm. Why should you need to stand out from that point of view?
It's maybe it's a visual thing, like you say, just to illustrate that she's not a Jedi anymore, because we've always associated the colours.
Oh, is that it?
That's Jedi, exactly the point that's where I was going with it, Rob. That was the first thing that came to my mind when Corey asked me the question. Was I thought this might be that it's her standing away from. She's neither Sith nor.
Yeah, so she's a grey
Jedi.
Oh, hang on, saying Ahsoka only had one lightsaber. I'm even more confused now.
This picture speaks 1,000 words.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's. Yeah, I don't really know.
No, she's
Right, and
definitely.
somebody's watched Corey will know. Corey's watched
No,
Clone
she
Wars.
does. In the earlier episodes, she just has the one, and then in like series 2 or something, I think she picks up a second lightsaber.
Okay.
I never paid attention to it happening. I just one day just realised, oh, she's got 2, and they didn't seem to make a big deal of it unless I missed something.
Yeah.
But somebody sent me a message a while back when we were talking about kyber crystals, saying that the crystals, when the Jedi or when the Padawan finds the crystal, that's when it takes on the colour.
Maybe.
And the Sith crystals we know are all synthetic, which is why they're red. So the naturally occurring ones are the purple, blue, and green. But I think narratively, thematically, the white lightsabers are there to denote her standing apart from either faction.
I think Dave Filoni's actually gone on record as saying that they're white to illustrate that she's neither one thing nor the other.
Cool.
Hence Grey Jedi.
Yeah, it could be. Is this a first? Is this the tip of that spear, do you think?
She's obviously a Force user still. She hasn't given that up.
These two have laced these two questions together.
Yeah.
It's a conspiracy, I tell you. Let's squash it now. There you go, Corey. That's our take on it. And I think from the sounds of things, it's what Dave Filoni's intention was. So pretty cool. I'm going to have to get back into this Rebels business.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, we've got another voicemail. We are
Nice.
spoiled.
Blimey.
It's just riches, bountiful riches this evening.
Marvelous.
Right, so this is from our good friend Ads.
Hello, lads. Great show. Currently listening to Connor's epic question, and as always, it has got me thinking. This question's with regards to Rey, and I know we all, I think it's safe to say that, expect her to be the sort of story of the Star Wars saga, and her bloodline, importantly as well, perhaps. Taking over from the Skywalker bloodline. That's if she isn't a Skywalker, of course. I know that Mark has always championed the idea that at some point she will turn to the dark side. Whether she comes back or not, who knows? But I'm of the same opinion. I think she will go at some point. My question specifically is to do with the fact that in order for her bloodline to continue and for future films to progress, she's going to need to have a child. And I'm wondering when you lads think this might happen, as the timing of this is obviously going to have huge consequences for future storylines. I think that the three options that I could see would be that she either gives birth and then is turned to the dark side, or number 2, she is pregnant when she is persuaded to turn, or the third one, that, and perhaps more unlikely, she becomes pregnant having turned to the dark side. I mean, all of these would obviously have huge questions as to who the father would be, but also it would make for an interesting angle from the child's perspective, because depending when they are born would depend whether they have been brought up by one side or the other. It could also obviously impact Rey's decision as suddenly a mother, and perhaps lead her to come back from the dark side due to the love of her child. And then you would have a situation a bit like Kylo and Han and Leia, but in reverse. It would also mimic, obviously, the Vader-Luke situation in the original trilogy, which may or may not be a good thing. It's certainly interesting, though, to think that there could be a situation in coming stories where one side is opposed to the other, and it is mother and child on opposing sides. I'd love you to kick it around for a bit and just see what your thoughts are. As always, fantastic show. Keep up the great work, and I will look forward to hearing what you think. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, MC Big Wicket.
Oh, I love that. That's caught on already.
It's catching on.
Yep.
What a great question.
That's
it is
wonderful.
There is a fourth option
Okay.
from what from everything Ad's laid out, and it's one that when I first listened to the voicemail, I started making a few notes on it. I thought, well, there is a fourth option. It's a bit out there, but it would certainly help this storyline. If we're going to assume that Ray is going to have offspring in order to continue the bloodline, something that could set it apart from those two stories we've seen already, Anakin's story and Luke's story, was if Ray was on the light side when she became pregnant, but the pregnancy was dark, and that pushes her to the dark side. If her pregnancy is manipulated in some way, and the pregnancy itself is dark side, and the pregnancy pulls her into the darkness.
What about the other way around?
We've never seen that before. It could work.
No, he did actually say that. He did actually say that though. The motherhood thing would bring her back.
Yeah,
so
we've seen it in the L Word. We had a theme of that. It didn't actually come to pass. No, not the other one. Legends. So in Dark Empire, Leia was pregnant with, guess, Anakin Solo. Yeah, it would have been Anakin Solo, and the clone of Palpatine was trying to possess him so that he could inhabit the body and live longer.
That's creepy.
Yeah. So I wonder if that could be the kind of thing they might bring back in with Snoke trying to prolong his, or to gain a new body that's a bit more, that's not decrepit and scarred and damaged.
That's a great idea. I mean, that is really really original for Star Wars.
I won't go anywhere with that. I've already got a theory on that.
Have you?
Okay.
Do you want to table
No,
it?
first off, let me go with Ray. And I hate to do this, but I'm going to shoot this down completely because I think the initial offering that we have from Ray is she's not the kind of character that we're going to see bound into motherhood in a trilogy.
Probably not. No,
she's for want of a better word, she's too spunky. She gets up, she's the lifestyle she's been living.
She's too young as well. Really.
She's extremely young, and if we're looking at her becoming possibly, Padawan to Luke or somebody, then time is a factor and all that kind of thing as well. So I think she'd probably laugh at the idea of motherhood.
Maybe, yeah.
But it goes to what we were saying earlier, wasn't it, about not having Ray's character diminished by a romantic storyline. Not that it was necessarily diminished.
Yeah, it has to be handled correctly.
That would be a distraction when we're assuming at the moment that her journey will be the hero's journey. So yeah, we've already mentioned that perhaps there wouldn't be a romance in there, but which is why I threw the idea in of some sort of dark side manipulation that led to a pregnancy, and the pregnancy pulls her to the thing. But
which was my other thought, was you were talking about Snoke, blah blah blah. I've got similar theory on that. Is there's a reason that Snoke is grooming Kylo Ren the way he is.
Yeah,
because he wants that body.
Oh,
and that's going to be Kylo's fight that turns him to the light side.
Yeah, interesting.
Because Snoke wants Kylo's body.
Kylo's body, yeah.
This is
could be.
If Star Wars goes anywhere near this, that's going to be completely new ground, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Like I say, it's stuff we've kind of
only
had
to a degree.
before.
I mean, you're talking about some kind of spirituality here, but don't forget, Palpatine's already mentioned before that they created birth before, from the sound of it. So it's not complete. It's a little left field. I don't think it's completely different.
His statement at the opera as well about he even found a way to stop the ones he cared about from dying didn't mean he kept that body alive, did it?
Yeah.
If Plagueis had found a way to prolong the life of the people he cared about, was it moving their essence into another corporeal vessel, not extending the life of the corporeal form?
We were never given that information.
We weren't. So, this could be something that they crack open in the new series of films. And it goes back to what James' question was centered around. it doesn't necessarily need to diminish what goes before it if it's building upon it and expanding it. So that could, I mean, it'd be challenging. I think it'd be really challenging, but very interesting. It might be the seeds that we see sown in books or in a show like Rebels or whatever Dave Filoni's going to work on next. Mm-hmm. Leia also had something in Aftermath, Life Debt, didn't she, where she was sensing the pregnancy.
Yeah.
In the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of always, there's already been some nods towards that.
Yes, this is it. Like I say, I think that's the kind of thing. Sorry, just got speeder bike battle going on behind me. That's the kind of thing I could picture them again bringing in the sort of the soft legends stuff returning. Would be interesting to see. Stuff like that return as a theme without being overtly exactly the same. Because obviously, I'm not saying, they did it with the clone of Palpatine, so Snoke should be a clone of Palpatine, because that's not great. I never really cared for the clone of Palpatine anyway, except it served a purpose in the story.
Yeah.
But I think that sort of thing might be good to bring in as a theme, because I think it's quite a strong theme of, a dark character whose body is kind of failing them just from the sheer volume of dark energy coursing through it. That they're looking for some way to prolong their life and to occupy a more robust vessel.
Mm.
I wonder if Snoke's in a temporary one already.
Maybe, yeah.
He could be ancient.
This is it.
He might only be Essence, and he just happens to have occupied this.
All bets are off then, aren't they?
Yeah, this is it. Could well be.
This is a dangerous path we're starting down. Cue the 3-hour podcast. Okay. Ads.
I'll go get myself some Red Bull.
See what you've done, Ads. See what you've done. Right, that's great. Thanks for that, mate. That's really cracked open a few things for us to kick around. That's amazing thought trail we've been on there. Brilliant stuff. Okay, we've got the last member of Tumbling Saber crew has sent us a written message.
Okay.
Paul, do you want to take this one from Kyle?
I could try. I'm currently choking a little bit. Hi, Mark. It's always Mark. Right.
Keep reading.
And the other exalted members. Let's start again. Hi, Mark, and all the other exalted members of one of the top 3 podcasts in all of the Star Wars Commonwealth. That's a nice compliment. I hope you're all doing well, very well. Smiley thing. Here's something that's been on my mind, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. Recall a few weeks back, there were some character profiles put up on Disney XD site for certain characters. Did I say XD? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Oh, okay, beg your pardon. There was a line on Maul's image that is so clever that it invites a lot of discussion. The dark side trickster knows where a few secrets are buried. We know that they could be talking about Obi-Wan on Tatooine or some other Sith temples, but this could also be a reference to the Sithly activity referenced on the pages of Life Debt Aftermath, as in Maul going to take us. As in, is Maul going to take us to the sands of Jakku in Rebels Series 3? I can't say this. I said it badly last time. Have at it. Oh.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Is this the big question? Then is Rebels going to tie into Aftermath Life Debt?
I sort of hope not. To be honest, I want them to explore certain themes. I'm okay with them exploring certain themes like the Grey and things like that come up in the later films as well. But I'm a little bit reluctant to make everything tie up in a nice, neat little bow just because the opportunity's there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I just want, I'm quite happy for it to just be, the stuff that we've already speculated on about what it could be. Like Carl goes into. Has this been speculated
previously?
No, it's not so much that. It's more.
Okay.
The stuff you were saying about other Sith temples and Obi-Wan on Tatooine and things like that. But it's sorry, go on.
Beg your pardon. Was it Aftermath that? This is the one that got all the heavy press a little while ago because several million spoilers were in there on the ongoing story. Is that correct?
Potentially.
They said there was a lot of information in there that if you were to take Because I know some people saying they were going to not, they were going to avoid it on purpose, and some people wanted to jump straight in. But
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I went straight to it because of what it promised, because
Okay.
of the spoilers, or the not necessarily spoilers, but because of the extrapolations on things that we were expecting to
Yeah.
be covered, and I didn't really find much there, to be honest.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the book that Carl's referencing. I think to me this one line is so bloody
Yeah,
broad.
the dark side trickster knows where a few secrets are buried.
To me, that says Sith temples, right? But what if, I mean, just to play around with the idea for a bit, but what if Maul has spent his downtime, these lost years after the insurrection on, was it on Mandalore, I think, where what was it called Dawn? Towards the end of the Clone Wars, when we saw the last of Maul, he'd taken over a group of warriors. I forget what they're called now.
I think it was Mandalore,
I'm so
wasn't it?
rusty. Yeah, it was a group of Mandalorian warriors, and that's where we left him. I think it was, or Sidious was telling him he had a job for him. What if Maul spent the time off screen on a similar pilgrimage to the one we're speculating Luke spent his time on, but Maul's pilgrimage was to find Sith temples, whereas Luke's pilgrimage was to find Jedi temples.
Yeah.
And Maul never took that information back to Sidious or to Palpatine. You know, he's got knowledge now, because we've already seen it at the end of season 2 in Rebels, haven't we? At a temple. So he clearly has an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah.
Big picture. So is that the mission that are these secrets being referenced in this one line that Kyle sent us? Are they secrets that he's unearthed on a mission for Palpatine?
Question.
As an option, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely something that could be explored.
I don't expect it to be Obi-Wan.
No, I don't think so. I'm trying to think. What's in does he come across Obi-Wan in Son of Dathomir?
I've not read.
Because that's
Son of
canon again,
Dathomir.
isn't it? Because that is canon. But I think it's. I'm not sure.
Where is that set? Because it
I
must
think it's
be
earlier.
Yeah, I don't think that meeting Obi-Wan would be the end of Maul's storyline. Surely,
I would guess so.
I think that if he and Obi-Wan cross paths again, the only way to wrap that up would be to have Obi-Wan end him. Can't imagine there'd be an amicable resolution to that crossing of paths again. No, my money's on the Sith Temple thing, and I suspect that was what Palpatine had in mind for him when he sent it, when he said, "I've got another job for you," and he said, or whatever it was, and I think he sent him off to find out something about Sith temples. But we're bound to find all this out, aren't we? In season 3. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
One day I'll catch up.
Yeah, we need to do this. I think I need to as well.
I need to do Clone Wars. I haven't done Clone Wars.
Major binge session coming on.
Absolutely. All right, thanks for that, Kyle. Right.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Final voicemail of the evening. This is going to be a listener feedback show entirely.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is from Stacey.
Right.
Hello, Talk Star Wars. This is Stacey White. I would love to hear your thoughts about Snoke's proximity to Ben/Kylo. I believe you've touched on this topic before, but I would like to hear you unpack those ideas a bit more, please. In TFA, Leia places a lot of the responsibility of Ben's fall to the dark side on Snoke. So here is my multiple choice question for you. When did Snoke have access to Ben? A, when Ben was a child. B, prior to Ben being sent to train with Luke. C, during Ben's training period with Luke. And if you select this answer, do you think Snoke was a part of Luke's school in some way? Please answer this question without the assumption that Admiral Rax does indeed turn out to be Snoke. In TFA, we also have that wonderful scene in Kylo's room when he is speaking to Vader's helmet. He says, "Show me the power of the darkness again." Again? Did a young Ben touch Vader's helmet and experience a vision? This might lend credence to the fan theory of a split Force ghost of Anakin/Vader, or could this have been Snoke manipulating Ben in some way? And to be able to manipulate him in this manner, wouldn't that mean Snoke has close access to Ben? I look forward to hearing your answers. May the Force be with you always.
That's awesome. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you, Stacey.
And thanks for your patience, because that's a voicemail I lost this week and she had to resend it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's a two-parter, so let's go for the multiple choice thing first.
Do we have to stick with the multiple choice answers?
No, we don't play by any rules, do we? How did Snoke get his claws into Ben Solo?
This is really cloudy, which is half the reason we're constantly having these discussions. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, do we know for sure Ben was trained by Luke?
There was
that
stuff
mentioned in Bloodline at all?
There's a line that alludes to it in The Force Awakens.
Alludes to it.
Yeah, Leia says I lost him when I sent him to Luke.
Sent him for what though?
Yeah, it could have been.
I think she says sent him to train with Luke.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel like she does. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I may be wrong. But I feel like she does say that.
But it's also covered in Bloodline that he is training with Luke at that point.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily rule out option A in Stacey's multiple choice.
All right, I'm going to go with the multiple choice, and I'm going to go C.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
Rob?
So my feelings on this can be traced back all the way to episode 10, when I was but a listener. Before I joined the team, I was, obviously the listeners are an esteemed group, as we know.
The number?
I know the number, yeah. It was a big day in my life, Paul. I think you'll find. First time I'd had my emails read out on the podcast. That's a pretty big deal for me. So I think that Snoke was at the school.
You do?
I
in
do.
What capacity?
I think he was
Janitor.
a part of this. I think he was a part of the school, maybe a mature student, or maybe
undercover something.
Yeah, it could have been appearing to be, could have been used in some way masking his appearance to make himself look younger or something like that.
Oh,
again, if he's an essence, maybe he can be anywhere he wants.
Again, this is the thing, isn't it?
I think it was whilst I'm with you both that it was whilst Ben was training with Luke.
Yes.
I don't think it was when he was a child, because the wheels didn't come off until 6 years before The Force Awakens. That's when the news
he's not talked about.
There was no time.
But I think it happened when he was training with Luke. But I don't think Snoke would be at the school, because I really don't think Snoke wants to get his hands dirty. I don't think he wants to risk the fragility of his life.
Could Snoke have been masquerading as a learning resource for Luke? So maybe appearing to be somebody more like the Grey.
Right.
And so Luke starts to kind of come to him for answers on some things, and he can play the game, and he's, we know he's a patient guy. So maybe he's kind of being a resource, making himself look a bit more partisan than he actually is. And then as he's, more and more trusted by Luke, Ben comes into the fold. And then obviously with the news that Ben gets in Bloodline, although we don't know exactly when he gets it, because he may have got it before they, he may have known before they knew.
Yeah.
Before they sent him the information, he might have already found out, because obviously he was off with Luke. And it's entirely possible that Snoke could have kind of got close to him by getting close to Luke. This is why I think he might have been at the school, because he might have been, maybe not a teacher, but a kind of somebody who helps the students learn some sort of knowledge.
That leads me on to another question.
Okay.
Do we have any accurate timeline as when Luke left?
No. We just know it was...
Luke left because his school was, from the sound of it, systematically demolished and massacred and goodness knows what else.
Yeah,
that's the impression we're given, yeah.
I'm wondering if Ben was the last kid standing with a look in his eyes that Snoke adored and took with him.
So this is the thing I originally mentioned, Mark. Do you remember this one all the way back?
Refresh me.
And I said, I basically said that the wording in in Han Solo's monologue was one of his students turned on him and destroyed it all. Didn't say killed everybody. Said destroyed it all.
That's right. And you were saying it could have been Snoke.
It could have been Snoke destroying the school and destroying the kind of the relationship between Luke and Ben. And the relationship between Ben and the light side of the Force.
I think it's clear that that's Ben that Han's talking about.
You guys made that clear, and I do understand that. But I think I'd say it was just a kind of speculation, really, more than anything else. That particular one.
You know me. I like to explore all these dark corners.
Yes,
and I think it's a really good option. But narratively speaking, as part of Han's story, which ended in 7, it works dramatically and tragically that it was his son that he was talking about, and he couldn't even bring himself to say it was my boy that did it, or it was Ben that did it. He kept it at arm's length, almost third person, so that he could be removed from the sins of his son. So to me, it works narratively that that's Ben that he was referring to, but it doesn't mean that they're locked into that. They could retcon that, or not retcon it, but they could, change that from my perception and get away with it, because obviously they're calling the shots, they're writing the story. But I think one of the things you touched on was Snoke masquerading. On Stacey's second point, when Kylo's talking to Vader's helmet and saying, "Show me the power of the dark side again," I think it's more likely that Ben is speaking to Snoke through the Force, and Snoke is masquerading as Vader in order to push Ben's buttons.
I think it's simpler than that. I think Snoke's fully educated Ben on who Vader was and who he should aspire to be.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Vader because of the education Snoke's giving him. And that's his next point of admiration. So Ben's received all these stories about what happened to Anakin.
Yeah, that really works.
And how evil it was and so on. So he's sympathized enormously, and all he's got, obviously, this last artifact is the helmet. And that's become his idol. And his next point beyond that is Snoke. So when he says, "Show me the power of the dark side again," I think it's just simply he's tasting the dark side. I don't think there's anything figurative to that. I think he's simply tasting it.
It's not. He's not asking Vader to show him the dark side.
No, he kind of is, but I think
he's saying he wants to see it again, but he would like Vader to show him.
Show me it again, and
he
thinks it's the adulation of this idol in front of him is also helping him along the way. So that's why he's doing it.
It's very telling as well that we're constantly having Vader framed as the point of the focal point of Kylo Ren's idolization. It's not Anakin, because in the novelization,
which is very strange.
Well, in the novelization, Snoke actually warns Kylo that compassion was Anakin's undoing. That was Vader's downfall, was Anakin's compassion. So he's constantly trying to purge that out of Kylo's system. Don't be weak. That's why Kylo has to kill Han. You can't allow that compassion to come in, because it will be your downfall. That's the peril that he faces. That's the trial that Kylo Ren faces, and it's all orchestrated by Snoke.
I'm going to throw some spanners into the mix, as I'm one to do. So I can't claim the entirety of the inspiration for this, because I did just have a quick look on a Star Wars speculation subreddit while we were talking, because I was looking for the dialogue because I wanted to see the exact wording.
Right.
And in it had a thread about why he might have used the word again. And I've extrapolated from that. So they speculate in that subreddit that Kylo possesses the same power of psychometry that Rey has, so he can touch objects and receive kind of images in the Force of those of things associated with that object. I'm going to throw an additional element into the mix. So he finds out about Vader and gets a bit kind of keen to find out more about him, goes in search of artifacts, finds Vader's helmet, touches it, gets images from Vader's life of the dark stuff. Realizes
tastes good.
Realizes that he's had it kept from him, because maybe something comes through that sort of makes it clear that Luke is his son, or that Leia's his daughter, in which case he'll know then his family bloodline is made clear to him. At that point, he stops touching the helmet because it's shown him everything he wants it to see, he wanted to see out of it, or alternatively, he puts the helmet on the little plinth and stops touching it because he sees something in it that he doesn't like, which is to say the redemption of Vader.
That was what I was going to add on when you had finished. That is exactly what you've led me to drawing that conclusion was that he touched it. He saw the darkness that he wanted to see, that he was told he would see by Snoke, but then he also saw the betrayal of the Sith, the lies Anakin was told, and the fact that what he's being told now by his mentor, Snoke, that compassion is your undoing, is wrong. So he can't touch it again because he doesn't want to see the truth.
He wants kind of confirmation bias almost at that point. He doesn't want to see anything that's going to be contrary to his worldview.
Yes.
He sort of disappears into himself in that respect. So at that point, he's obviously not going to accept. So that's interesting because that means he would also, at that point, not accept the idea that Vader came back from the dark side because he shut himself off to the idea that Vader's anything but this incredible evil force. That may support that.
Yeah. It also means that everything Stacey's laid out in our options for part 2 of her question could be true, right?
Yeah, totally.
From a certain point of view, at least,
I can
because
see that now.
It is Snoke's con, and he is close because he's right. Not necessarily in a geographical sense, but he's right under Kylo's skin.
He's in his ear.
He's in his head. He's in his game. So there's no way Kylo can get away from it because all the truths that he clings to are hung on the lies Snoke's telling him.
Yeah.
And it will make him question every decision he's made, surely.
Yeah.
If he turns his back on the legacy of Darth Vader.
Indeed, yeah. And it's interesting that he's definitely seen. The other option is he when he says, "Show me the power of the dark side again," he's never seen. Vader's never consciously done it to him in a way that he can attribute, but he attributes everything that happens when he's powerful to being Darth Vader's grandson. When he's saying, "Show me again," it's more, I'm going to do something good, and it's going to be because you showed it to me. A bit like a sort of, real kind of religious zealot. That kind of mentality of, if something good happens to you, it's because the Lord is good, and if it's bad, it's because he moves in mysterious ways, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that it kind of draws that parallel where he's, if he does something powerful, it's because Darth Vader has shown him how and shown him the way. And if he can't do something powerful, it's because he's failed Vader. It's nothing to do with, there's no interaction between the two. It's actually just it all kind of being, projected by him in his own head.
Yeah. One thing is for sure, this is going to be very interesting. And this Kylo Ren character might be the best thing that's ever happened to Star Wars.
Or it could be good, couldn't it?
He's definitely the most interesting at the moment.
Really,
bar none. But seriously, I like Finn and Rey, but this guy's by a country mile way ahead from an intrigue point of view.
He has certainly the raw materials to be significantly more interesting.
And I actually enjoy him being a petulant kid as well.
Kind of, yeah.
It's deeply disturbing. That is that aspect of his character is so contemporary and so disturbing. I'm amazed that. I mean,
like
I know Lawrence Kasdan is involved with writing this thing, so of course it's going to be incredible. But how can you take Darth Vader, probably the most popular villain of all time?
So he's certainly going to be up there, isn't he?
Yeah, and Palpatine, again, another heavyweight villain, and then you add another one now on top it's equally as complex and compelling as those two. How can you do that? How can you just keep hitting them out of the park like that? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fascia. No, it is. It's fascia, isn't it? I mean, you've got the idealism of pure evil or wannabe pure evil. And on the front of it, you've got this young, innocent-looking kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
true.
I had a conversation with someone this week who, I forget who it was, so forgive me, but it was about how troubled they were when Kylo took the mask off and how it stopped working for them when Kylo took the mask off.
Right.
And I was saying that the menace, that face, that innocent face,
Yeah.
that was the real menace. That was the real monster we were seeing.
Totally.
And that's exactly why it works.
The way he says thank you to his dad at the end.
Yeah.
It's just the two words in that face. It's just like, that's the point. That's the point.
The monster inside the monster is
To be honest, bearing in mind it's got Lucasfilm Disney, that's quite horrific.
Yeah, totally.
It's a bit cannibalistic in its nature, isn't it? So
yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
Let's have a Kylo trilogy. Done.
I think this might turn out to be it.
It could be.
Just watch this space for another couple of years. Okay. Stacey, that was epic. Thank you so much.
Big time. Yes, thank you.
More. We want more. That was our last voicemail, and I'm just desperate to get more of this. And I just love so much to hear from the people that listen to us and challenge us. It's awesome. Not going to read that message. Right. We got a question from Matt Keegan. It's very hard not to say it like that now. Steve has spoiled it.
Well, I'm doing it basically in the absence of Steve. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Matt Qui-Gon. I think we should change his name to
Matt Qui-Gon. Yeah.
Matt Qui-Gon.
Matt Qui-Gon.
God, you have to Damon everything. All right.
Matt Qui-Gon.
Matt's given us a really, really he is really rivaling Connor now.
Goodness me, this is a novel.
This is a novel, right? Here we go.
See, this is the second rap battle. This is what's happening. This is what's building here.
Yeah, we're going to
Connor versus Matt Keegan.
Get a fight
on pay-per-view.
All right. This is from Matt. Hi guys. First of all, I want to say how much I'm enjoying the shows. Keep up the good work. Secondly, I want to say to Mark and Paul that there is a story I'm really wanting to get into. It's your hindsight story. I was completely enthralled by the idea of it. It sounds like it has so many possibilities. I love historical fiction, and I know it would be bigger than 99% of what Hollywood churns out if only someone would have the balls to green light it. Really hope it sees the light of day in some form, because it sounds absolutely fascinating to me. Thank you, Matt.
That's really nice. And that leads me nicely onto my little surprise.
Oh, go on.
I'm going to send you both a little link.
Okay.
It's not massive, but it's something. So
well, it's what you do with it that counts, mate. We've been through this.
Let me show you that first.
Oh my!
Just have a look at the CV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just let you know that our little script is being pitched to those people this weekend.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Mark didn't know anything about that.
I didn't know anything about that. You set that up this week.
It's done. It's gone. It's done. It's gone.
Outstanding.
I'll let you know how we do, mate. I'll let you know how we do.
Bloody hell, that is some pedigree.
Wow. So, all right. Well, let's Paul.
Okay.
You need to tell people who this company
elaborate on that
is.
a little bit. Basically, we've actually pitched that little darling one or two times to some fairly heavy rollers who showed extreme interest on the spot. And then when it came to meeting or pass, it was always I'm going to try this and try that, or we're not doing that right now, and so on and so forth. So you keep going, sort of thing. So I read it again 153,000th time just a couple of weeks ago, and seriously, I mean, it's always going to be our baby sort of thing, but I do you have an unconditional love for it. But I read it and I'm like, this is really good. This is really good. And, to be honest, bar Star Wars and the occasional Marvel movie, I'm not really looking forward to anything now. But I think this has got legs. So I was like, I'm pushing it again. And I changed nothing, Mark, to be honest. Script-wise, I changed nothing at all because I just love it. I love it. And so, I did the usual thing. We get in touch with a guy who runs pitch sessions through this through Stage 32. So I couldn't get a slot, but I could get a written pitch slot. And we're going to be read on Sunday.
Wow, that's exciting. So, the company we're pitching to, do we want to say who they are at this stage?
I guess we shouldn't really.
No,
I suppose it
hasn't happened. It hasn't happened.
Yeah, exactly. It may be one of those things where they've got an excellent CV. Looking at the history, there's a huge amount of pedigree there.
So we'll see how it goes. And I'll let Mark know in about 2 or 3 weeks, I suppose.
yeah. When the
check clears.
That's amazing. What a surprise. Nice one, Paul. That's brilliant.
Awesome.
We shall continue this conversation off air. All right.
I'm not telling you any more.
Okay. All right. So the rest of Matt's question after that exciting news. So Matt, you may see more from hindsight yet. The game is not over yet.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Now on to Star Wars. I'm rereading the Republic Commando series of books, and I wanted to know your opinion on the 2 versions of Order 66. In those books, the clones, during their rigorous training, memorize a military handbook called The Contingency Orders of the Grand Army of the Republic. Order initiation, Orders 1 through 150.
Okay.
The orders detail, pop up just over that. The orders detail actions for the army to carry out in the case of a coup, how to handle civil unrest, command structure, suppression of communications, rules of engagement, etc. In this military manual, Order 66 reads as follows. In the event of Jedi officers acting against the interests of the Republic, and after receiving specific orders from the Supreme Commander, the Chancellor, GAR commanders will remove those officers by lethal force. The commander of the GAR will revert to the Supreme Commander, Chancellor Palpatine, until a new command structure is established. We see this in the movie as Palpatine contacts specific clone officers and not just push a button to activate the clones' inhibitor chips that the Clone Wars animated series introduced. The animated series, which is now canon, has Order 66 derived from implanted inhibitor chips placed in the clones during incubation. In my opinion, it takes away from the professionalism and the unquestioning loyalty of the soldiers that the movies portrayed. And why call it Order 66 if it was only a code to kill the Jedi? The use of the number 66 also implies another 65 orders that precede it. Whilst I love the Clone Wars series and long for them to complete the various story arcs that are still left hanging, this part of the story left me disappointed. Sure, canon trumps legend, but I feel that in this instance it lessened the impact of the clones' role in Palpatine's colossal takeover. Like a lot of Star Wars Legends books, hey, look, that's the L word again, Rob. The Republic Commando novels could have been an amazing TV series, either live action or animated, and there's no reason to believe that won't still happen, though, Matt. It could have branched off the Clone Wars animated show. It's a pity it didn't. Could still happen. We know Dave Filoni's working on something at the moment, so... I'm sure listeners would be keen to hear your opinion on the Commando books and Order 66 itself. For me, they are my favourite Star Wars novels, following a group of elite clones into battle with a gritty, realistic portrayal of men in combat, showing the physical and psychological effects of bloody conflict. I think we might be seeing some of that in Rogue One by those things. The clones even make an interesting comment that some of them despise General Kenobi and his tactics, which get many of their clone brethren killed. A surprising thing to read in a Star Wars book, especially from soldiers fighting on the same side. Sure, the Jedi and the Sith are cool, but I've always liked war novels, and I'd take a blaster over a lightsaber any day. How uncivilized. And something a little philosophical for the After Dark Side. Oh, yeah, we're going into After Dark Side thing there, aren't we?
Stop. Wind it back.
Yeah, sorry, I got my roll on. Okay, so we'll take that one over to an After Dark Side. Thank you for that, Matt.
Indeed.
Right, is Paul back with us? Not yet.
No.
Okay, let's get into this then, Rob. So Matt, break down Matt's question. Have you read the novels?
I've read bits of them. I'm a big, a few of them are Karen Travis, and I'm a big evangelist for her because I think she's excellent. She writes incredible military fiction. She's done. It's basically a testament to how good she is at it that she's written across multiple franchises. She's done Star Wars. She's done Gears of War. Others as well. Halo. I think she might have done some Halo ones actually as well. That's cool. Some expanded novel because the Halo expanded universe is very big. Microsoft are huge on it, and Bungie and stuff are really big on it, and always have been. So it's almost got as much love within the developer community as the actual games themselves, much in the same way as the Star Wars Legends and the new canon has now. Mm-hmm. So I have read bits of them, and I have no doubt that the ones she's written are dynamite, and I'm sure that all the other ones are very good as well. But I can only go by, obviously, the ones I've read, which is not to say not much. But like I say, what I've read of it's top notch, and if they had any kind of involvement in the video game, that was also really good. They did a Republic Commando game.
I haven't read any of them, but I must say I'm intrigued by them. I like the idea.
Yeah.
of them. But I'm not seeing. I know Matt said that there seems to be a conflict between the origins of Order 66 and the way the clones carry them out. But I'm not sure that I'm seeing a conflict as such. But I guess I'm kind of making excuses up in my own headcanon here. What's your opinion? Are there actually two versions of Order 66 on show here, Rob?
No, I think that they're kind of two sides of the same coin. I think that I actually like the Republic Commando. I'm with Matt on this one. I think the Republic Commando explanation is much, much better. I think that it's more like, I like the idea that it's buried in amongst their programming. Yeah. That if somebody came along to it and read through the orders, they might just think nothing of it and just kind of breeze through. But I think the idea of the inhibitor chips is more to make sure that they don't have free will.
Exactly. That makes them unquestioning, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why when Palpatine gives the order to the senior officers, the chip is in place to make sure that the junior officers, the subordinates, are compliant.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously some of them are... what's it called?
They managed
some of
to
them
remove
their
them.
Some of them removed their chips, but they've done that, I think, before that point. So they didn't actually get involved in Order 66 at all because they were already out of the picture by then.
You haven't done the Clone Wars yet, have you?
I haven't, no.
There is without spoiling anything for you, there is a storyline that sort of establishes that the chips may actually trigger some psychotic behaviour. This might be what Matt's calling on here, actually, that in the Clone Wars, if someone's got a faulty chip, if a clone has a faulty chip and he behaves in a way that we see them act in Revengeance, I'm trying not to be too spoilery, but if it leads to psychopathic behaviour on the part of that person with the faulty chip, that might lead to the rest of the clones, or the clones that we know remove their chips. That's why they do it. That little twist in the structure of Order 66 might have been done narratively just to explain why some of the clones take their chips out. And that might be the fracture that Matt's identifying here. That Order 66 is there for the senior officers. The chips are in place to keep the junior officers compliant, and then the Clone Wars used this little trick of a malfunctioning chip to motivate some of the other characters to remove their inhibited chips. Not necessarily two versions of the Order. It's just the storytellers doing two things with it, which are kind of in conflict, but not entirely. Well, let's talk about why Order 66 is Order 66. Why not keep it hidden completely? Why have 65 orders, then this big Jedi kill code, and then another numerous?
Well, because the way it's worded isn't a kill code in and of itself, word for word. Let me remind myself of what it said. So, in the event of Jedi officers acting against the interests of the Republic, and after receiving specific orders from the Supreme Commander, GAR commanders will remove those officers by lethal force, and command of the GAR will revert to the Supreme Commander until a new command structure is established. So it's basically, it's worded in a way that says, if the Jedi act against the interests of the Republic, and only when the Supreme Chancellor dictates, they will remove those officers by lethal force. At no point does it say that the Jedi have to be right or wrong.
No, because
all it says is, if they are seen to be acting against the interests of the Republic, and seen to be so by the Supreme Commander to the point where he goes out of his way to issue Order 66, then that's their remit.
Yeah,
at that point.
And I could see several Jedi approving this order, because they will have in the back of their minds the potential for Jedi going to the dark side.
Yep.
So if it's of those that turns, then the Grand Army of the Republic needs to squash that Sith uprising before it gets out of hand. So you can see them signing off on it, saying, "Oh yeah, this could be a Sith uprising, a falling Jedi." We've already seen at this point 20 leave the Order, right? The fallen 20, the lost 20. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that could be the significance here. If there is another fallen Jedi that flips, and he has the Grand Army of the Republic at his fingertips,
yes,
that's deadly. And essentially, that is what's happening.
Yeah, and it doesn't say, it says in the event of Jedi officers, it doesn't specify a quantity. It doesn't say that the entire order is going to be. So you're absolutely right. It does lend itself to the interpretation of what happens if one of the Jedi falls and he has an army of clones at his back.
Yeah.
He's going to lead a coup.
So now, and then like the Supreme Chancellor will then be able to dial in and say, take him out. And
yeah, exactly.
The clones can then do it without question because it's for the greater good. So I could see the Jedi signing off on that code. There's also an argument to be made that Order 66 is then hidden in plain sight. There's nothing surreptitious to be discovered. So Palpatine's ingeniously removed some risk there. Yeah. Because no one's going to go, hang on, what's this Order 00? What are you playing at? There's no secrets. It's all on top of the table, isn't it?
The other thing to keep in mind as well is the Jedi might well look at it and go, oh, well, that's not an issue. We're never going to... they're still we're still looking at them as a dogmatic kind of bureaucratic, swallowing up red tape force. So it's entirely possible that actually they might just look at it and go, well, you can put it in there if you want, but I don't think you're going to need it. That sort of thing. They could sort of dismiss it outright as just something silly. Oh,
their overconfidence is their weakness.
Silly Republic have to cover all their bases.
But I think that they would support it. I think that they would get behind that rule, that order. And say, you're absolutely right, a fallen Jedi with the Grand Army of the Republic at his fingertips is dangerous. Not realising all along that that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly the game that they've played into. That's a great question, Matt. Again, Matt Qui-Gon knocking it out of the park. Brilliant stuff. Okay. I am so very, very parched. I think we need to throw to a break so I can go and top up my Coke.
That's good.
You're going to hear from the guys at Tumbling Saber, and then when we come back, Connor's Corner on the last stretch of our listener-only episode of Talk Star Wars. We'll be right back.
Yo, Tumbling Saberers.
What's up?
My brother.
I got this great idea for a promo. Check it. Now, here's a little story I like to tell about three podcasters you know so well. We talk about a galaxy far away with Anakin, Luke, and his daughter Rey.
Whoa, James, there. Pump the brakes a bit. We don't know that yet. I mean, it's a leading theory and all, but there are certainly other possibilities. She could be a Kenobi, or a Solo, or even a child of the Force.
Or Kylo Ren's sister? They had a loyal droid named 3PO, got him and R2 from the Sand People. The droids were on the lam on a planet full of sand. Sand people picked them up because droids are in demand.
James, I totally dig this, but make sure people know that we talk about more than just the saga movies. I mean, we dive into Rebels, theories, literature, comics, conventions. We cover anything and everything from the GFFA.
Okay, but... One lonely Jedi, Luke B. All by himself with just Kenobi. The sons were beaten down like the Empire's grasp. Had to get off Tatooine and they had to get off fast. Looking for a girl, they ran into a guy. His name was Han Solo. They said howdy, he said hi.
Dude, we're almost out of time. You can't wrap out the entire plot of all 7 movies.
Actually, bro, the song predicts the entire saga through its completion.
Does it even mention our patented random thought segment? Or our sports tangents? Or our listener interactions? Oh, never mind, James. Just skip to the end, will ya?
In episode 30 on a sphere that's cold.
Subscribe to the Tumbling Saber podcast on iTunes and Stitcher.
Join the mailing list and read our blogs at tumblingsaber.com.
You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Join our growing community.
And become part of the Star Wars Commonwealth.
And we're back. So you've just heard from the fine chaps at Tumbling Saber, 1/3 of the Star Wars Commonwealth, along with us and Generation X-Wing. And if you want to follow them on Twitter, I don't know if they mentioned it in the promo. I can't remember. I listened to it the other day, but they do. Okay. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, Tumbling Saber, Chop Rules, and Tommy Bombadil 1 on Twitter. You'll see us interacting with them all the time because they're lovely chaps. So we have a good bit of banter across the pond. So as is commonplace after a hearing from the Tumbling Saber guys, it's time for Connor's Corner featuring Leo. I heard their voices for the first time the other day.
Oh, did you? On the YouTube?
They recorded themselves reacting to Rogue One.
Yes.
And I didn't realise they'd done it, so I've only just come across it. So I found it on there.
Yeah, they sent they sent them in to me because obviously, your good self, Jeremy, I did
Yeah.
one, and then Connor and Leo sent their reaction video as well. I was going to cut them all together, but for the most part, Jeremy and I just sat there in stunned silence watching the trailer.
Oh, really?
So there wasn't much to work with. So
I'd already seen it about 8 times when you asked.
yeah, so there was no reaction to have.
And that was about a minute after it had gone live. I'd already seen it like 8 times.
I think I'll do something. When we get to the sign off, I'll bring something else up.
Yeah,
about
fair
the
enough.
Rogue One trailer.
Cool. I've sorted that thing out, by the way, Paul. Right, so Connor reads thusly, writes thusly, and I read. That's the one. I'm getting confused. Long day. Good day, gents. It's been an exciting week in the Talk Star Wars universe with the news of Blog Talk Radio, which is a direct result of all the hard work your team put in each and every week. This will most definitely up the profile of the show and bring it a bigger listenership. I'm guessing there's more to come about that in After Dark Side, right?
There'll be a little bit, yeah.
There'll be a bit. Okay, cool. Very exciting times. You guys really deserve this exposure. Aw. And all this after just 40 episodes. Life really does begin at 40, eh? I'm hoping so. This is something you must be very proud of indeed. Well done, gents. I'm delighted for you, I'm sure I speak for all the Commonwealth. Does this mean I get my £3 back? Joke. It's the best money I've ever.
Don't go making promises, Paul.
Yeah, it's coming out of your pocket, mate.
I'll pay. Yeah.
Joke. It's the best money I've ever spent, and thank you for making me a part, albeit a small part of that. Connor, you do yourself a disservice, sir.
Yeah.
My emails each week pale in comparison to the work you guys put into the show. Again, Connor, you do yourself a disservice. I just turn up and try and be funny. That's pretty much my thing. And bang on about Legends for 3 hours.
Wow,
crazy. So this week I'd like to ask you about this Marvel Disney Yoda comic, which has had my mind racing. Do you remember Shadows of the Empire? Of course you do. I certainly do. Which, if you remember, it was a project that LucasArts had come up with in a focus group to gauge the popularity of Star Wars, which was in decline at the time. There had been no new films, just special editions, and George got out merch, books, graphic novels, and an N64 game. It paved the way for the prequels, as we, the fans, loved the idea of, so that's what happened. The Outrider, Dash Rendar, worst name ever, by the way, his ship even had a cameo in Star Wars Episode 4 in the special edition. That's true. The Jedi have been around for 1,000 generations, according to Obi-Wan. Could Disney be doing the same with the Little Green Jedi Master and the recent talk of Star Wars going well into 2020? Could we get to see a new set of films that are set in this Old Republic era where the Jedi were in the sort of numbers we all hoped they'd be in the prequels, but all we got was that scene in Episode 2? Nowhere near enough to keep order across the galaxy. Just think about it. Old tech, new worlds, and some familiar ones too. Defeating the Sith for the first time, seeing a 100-year-old Yoda training, he must have been there at the start of it all. Who trained him? Being a Padawan, getting his own Padawan, the timeline is hundreds of years long, the possibilities are endless. A younger Snoke being vanquished into battle, presumed dead and long forgotten. Could this be the new or old saga for us, Gen X wing, 40-somethings? A lot of brackets here, Connor. I'm having trouble here. Let's face it, these new films, 7, 8, and 9, are for a new breed of fans, and they're a lot younger than us. Some of you. Let's make no mistake. Make no mistake here. They know we love Star Wars, but there will come a time when our favourite characters are past it and it will look silly on screen and they don't want to lose us. So what do you think? A far-fetched wish or something you could see happening? Thanks, gents. Can't wait to hear you talk about this. As always, take care and may the Force be with you always. P.S. We will be doing an audio question soon because my fingers are killing me typing there. I'm not surprised.
All those brackets.
Yeah. Connor and Leo sent by Holocron. So let's break this one down. Do we think that Disney are using the Marvel Comics Yoda to gauge interest in further Yoda property?
Well, they're one of the same things.
Yes.
Disney and Marvel are the same thing, so yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I've got to be honest, it's working because I'm quite intrigued.
Yeah.
I said I was last week though. It is something that would bring put my awareness radar on red alert.
I share the obvious concerns that Rob's going to have about some of the math in Connor's question. The Republic not going back as far, just with not being able to follow Yoda back as far in the story to get to the Old Republic, because he wouldn't have been around, and the Sith would have been long since a thing of the past when Yoda was born. So.
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think it's unlikely that we'll have him. This is my wariness of putting too much emphasis on doing some Yoda property set before Episode 1. because there's not a lot to talk about.
No.
Because the Sith are gone. The only thing that would happen is you'd start getting the Jedi kind of dealing with smugglers and pirates and Mandalorians, maybe, that sort of thing. The Old Republic of Legends is gone and has yet to have been replaced with something else. So although they may kind of bring back... They've obviously brought back some of the elements, like Darth Bane is still canon and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's unlikely that we're going to get Yoda movies. And if we are, they're going to be... Like I said, I think the idea... I kind of still stand by what I said last week, which is I think that the Yoda comic is a great way to bring him back in a way that's not overkill, gives them somewhere to go, and doesn't kind of box them into a corner.
Yeah. I would say... I think that I think that Disney, Lucasfilm, and Marvel are absolutely gauging interest in Yoda through this storyline.
Okay.
And this might be the series that Dave Filoni is going to start working on alongside Rebels, because he's now supervising all of Lucasfilm Animation, right?
Yeah.
We've got a brand new, I think it's Justin Ridge is the brand new supervising director on Rebels, taken over from Filoni. So Filoni's now free to go and develop other things. Yeah. We know that there's a story. We know there's a live action TV show on the back burner, and if they're developing any other animated series, this is what it could be. This is where I would put my money right now, is that we're going to see a Yoda animated series, because you can tell small personal stories that are wrapped up in half an hour, and you can start looking into some other villains that aren't the Sith, that don't need to be the First Order. It doesn't need to be galaxy-wide stakes, but you've also got the freedom in that structure to go back in the narrative. We don't know how old Yoda's master was. Maybe he was 1,000 years old, and then you can have Yoda learning from this guy who's telling him all about the Sith, and you can have stories. You can see stories on screen through flashbacks.
I was just wondering. It almost like it'd be a history lesson.
Yeah, and Dave Filoni will be free to do whatever he wants in his own show. So he can, in a new show, he's not going to be restricted by you can only tell stories that unfold narratively in 3 acts. And you have to stay in the present, because we're constantly dealing with the Skywalker story. And now he's free. You can go back, and Yoda's master can tell stories. It could be a Yoda show, but half the stories could be told, and we could see a young version of his master fighting the Sith.
Totally.
This could be where we see the Old Republic get a reboot within a TV show.
Indeed.
But that's absolutely what I think they're doing. Very keen.
Interesting. Right, so all right then, let's go with that then. Let's follow that to its conclusion. So if we're saying that the Yoda movie would work, or some sort of Yoda expanded universe property would work, what form could it take? Is it just repackaging the Old Republic and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, it would be...
I almost wonder if it'd be like Yoda's Fables or something.
Yeah, there's already... This is what this comic book is going to be, isn't it? It's going to be journals of Yoda's that Luke gets to see. So maybe we see stories like... Maybe Yoda is going to be the Star Wars version of the young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Okay.
We're going to see a young Yoda and his master on adventures that cross paths with all these wonderful things that happen in the pre-prequel Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
It doesn't all need to be about the Sith. It doesn't all need to be about... we are limited because we know that Yoda goes on to learn the things he learns at the end of the prequels. So about the living Force and about the dogma and about the Sith suppression of the Force blinding the Jedi. So all of that stuff's off the table. Yeah. But there are other stories that can be told, and this could be a Yoda-shaped young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah, indeed.
That would work for me. They'd have my money there, right there.
Yeah.
Tom Kane doing his voice.
That working. Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, I
can see that working. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, well,
there you
as
go,
always,
Connor.
That's a top-notch question with a long discussion out of it.
Yeah.
Unusual for us.
Yeah, I know, right?
Isn't it just? All right, we are gonna break structure here slightly, and we're gonna go to another break now before the Twitter poll questions. So that we can hear from the guys at Generation X-Wing. And when we come back, we're going to do the Twitter poll questions, and then we're going to wrap up because we're still close to 2 hours, even though we haven't covered any news whatsoever.
Oh my God!
How do we
Talk
get
Star Wars style?
Yeah, we really talk Star Wars. All right, we'll be back in just a couple of seconds.
There are a lot of great Star Wars podcasts out there, but we at the Generation X-Wing podcast discuss things in a unique way. Generation X-Wing podcast takes a look back at pop culture that defines our generation, from movies
They think he's a righteous dude.
to TV,
I ain't going to no airport, Hannibal.
from collecting,
I bet my Wookiee.
and of course we discuss our wonderful Star Wars universe.
Hello, what have we here?
Come over to the Generation X-Wing podcast with your hosts, Anil Sharma.
That is gonna be a shame.
Josh Whittle.
It was like, that's what trailers should be.
And Rob Williams.
Nailed it.
It is a modern look at your retro lifestyle. Follow us on Twitter at GenXWing, on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on our homepage at generationxwing.com.
If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month given securely via PayPal, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will elevate you to VIP status. As a TSW VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream that provides you with fun downloads like HD wallpapers for your desktop, tablet and mobile device, ringtones and text alerts courtesy of our very own audio Jedi at Rob Wade Vision. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter with news about what's going on here at Talk Star Wars, and you'll get a priority release of the new Star Wars audio commentary series called TSW Feature Comms. All this for as little as £1 per month. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always. And we're back. So that was the guys at Generation X-Wing. You absolutely need to go and check out Josh Whittle's comic book, which he's managed to pull together. I'm very intrigued by that. It's on
I've read it. I picked it up.
Oh,
yeah, I picked it up.
And what do you think?
I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's very intriguing. It definitely makes me want to know what's coming next. So in that respect, it's an excellent first issue.
Great stuff.
And the art style is really lovely. I mean, he writes it. I don't think he has anything to do with the art. I mean, he may kind of give direction.
No, it's a lady, the artist.
Yeah, he doesn't have any kind of. He probably gives kind of direction of what he wants, but he's the art style is excellent.
Yeah, I think that's all done in the script stage.
Yeah, the writing's just done very well. It makes me want to find out more about where the story's going. I need to keep rereading it because I have this bad habit of reading comics when I'm about to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And if I do that, I tend to find that it takes me a few goes before I really absorb it.
Yeah, I do a bit of that as well, with the Star Wars comic books mostly, and then I blame them for making me fall asleep, and perhaps that isn't the case. Perhaps I should read them when I wake up in the morning. But maybe. Josh was saying that the artist that he's used changed her art style by the time she was doing issue 3.
That's right, yeah.
So she went back and redid the first 2 because she'd been given some pointers by Marvel's Joe Quesada.
Yes, I remember hearing that on the latest show.
That's amazing stuff.
At the time of listening, anyway, it's the latest show. I don't know if it still will be, then there will still be, won't it, by the time this goes out?
I think so, yeah. That was a fantastic show as well.
It was really good.
Really good.
That was excellent.
They're at the top of their game, those guys.
Yeah, agreed. Really, really good.
Okay, let's do some Twitter polls then, and then we're going to wrap this listener-centric episode up, which I must say I've enjoyed this episode so much, and I really want us to do this more. So
send them in.
Please, listeners, if you can do all the work for me, that will be fantastic. All right,
we can space it out though, so that we occasionally cover some news, because I think some people do listen for that.
It's not too. I mean, at the moment there's
nothing earth-shattering.
There hasn't been much going on, as there at the moment. Yeah. All right, so last week's Twitter poll question, Paul. This was yours, was it not?
No.
Rob, was this yours?
This was mine. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, miscredit. This was Rob's question, so it's a Star Wars classic question. who shot first, Han or Greedo? Now, it's not as clear cut as you may think, because clearly there is a canon answer, but it looks like most of us are choosing to ignore that. 83% of the people, the 153 people voted, and 83% said Han. 17%.
I'd love to say I'm surprised.
Went with Greedo. And have you seen some of the comments?
I didn't. No, actually, I need to have a look.
People are accusing George Lucas of mobilising some sort of force to generate these 17%. This, just for interest, the numbers on this are, I don't know how important these numbers are. I just like them because they're big. I
always find them interesting.
This got 3,411 impressions, and took in, it says 94 votes. I don't think that's accurate, because the actual tweet itself is telling me 153 votes, so that's wrong. Yeah, so some of the comments are from the Mount Rushmore podcast. Have said,
that's an awesome name.
Yeah, nice to see that George Lucas could show up and vote for Greedo. So that was right after the poll went live. So
yeah.
Chris White says, our friend Chris White says, at Evil Summer on Twitter says, Han was justified by Western standards because Greedo drew first and announced the intent to kill. Chris White, he's so cool.
Yeah. I'm amazed. Did he have a GIF with it? Because he's usually good for that.
No, he didn't. No,
on this occasion. Okay.
There's a couple of GIFs in the feed, but nothing came from Chris.
Okay.
It's not like Greedo drew. His gun was up from the moment he appeared.
Yeah,
it was.
He walked in with it drawn. You know.
Nathan Monkenobi,
nice.
At Nath Roberts on Twitter, says Greedo shot first. If Han murders Greedo and then helps save the galaxy a few hours later, that would make his turn more abrupt than Anakin's. I'm assuming he means, well, it could go either way, couldn't it? The abrupt turn, Anakin to the dark side or back.
Well, yeah, either, yeah.
So it's a pretty good...
fair point.
And then Young Sirius Black at Tyrell713 on Twitter said, there is no first. There is Han Solo murdering Greedo. That's it. Also totally hit Greedo by mistake.
He had a gun pointed to his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I think my response to that was the best.
Oh, good man.
Cheers.
What matters?
What matters is who shot best.
Yeah. That's great.
And nobody can argue with that one.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. Thank you for everyone taking the time to.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Vote in that one, because that was a really good, fun old classic. Okay, so what have we got here? This is you, Paul, this one?
Yes, it is you.
Okay, this is Paul's question for the coming week. Whose story would you love to have spoiled? So, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that, Paul?
If you could
do
know
you mean spoil?
the key spoilers about one of our major characters in the next trilogy that we know of, simply who would you choose?
Okay, and your options are Rey, Finn, Poe, or Kylo Ren. 6 days, 23 hours. Whose story would you love to have spoiled? And that tweet is live right now.
I'm going in.
And
That's not liar.
And I'm pinning it, if I can find it. Pin to the profile. Pin.
Right.
There we go. So that is pinned to our profile.
For me, it's a slightly different proposition, the question. It's more, whose story would you be okay with knowing before the film? Because I'm not a big spoiler person. So for me, it's more, I'm approaching it more from a point of view of, if I had to know one, which one would I be happiest? Which one would I dislike knowing the least?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that sentence.
Well, you could edit the text.
That sentence is difficult to diagram out, Rob. It's a bit of it's a bit of a knot, that one.
Well, the 140. I don't know if this is news to you, Mark, because it's only been. Well, no, it's only because it's only come out in the last week or so. It's an update from Twitter.
Right.
They've now changed their system so that poll options don't count towards your character limit anymore. You can still only have 4, but they don't reduce your available characters, which they used to.
Okay.
So it means that you can have more long-winded questions, or you can get to those things more. thoroughly.
Well, I like the idea that there's some ambiguity here. I'm sure people will expand on their thought process if they quote the tweet and what have you, which I love to read those things. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
But there's one clear answer here. When I look at all four of those characters, there's three of them I'm happy to wait and see their stories unfold, and there's one who we've spoken about this evening. I want to know that stuff now because that's really gotten into my head, and I want to know some stuff right now.
I don't think. I mean, to be honest, I was fairly honest about my lack of love for the film, but there was one key character that changed that bizarrely for me in the end.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And, I've got this weird addiction now, a bit like Rob's Krennic love.
Yeah, there's nothing weird about that. I mean,
I
bought Empire the magazine the other day just because he was on the cover.
I saw your Instagram.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good read actually as well.
One thing to bear in mind about this question as well, and I don't know if it was intended when you wrote the question or not, Paul, but there are spoilers that go back as well as forward. So we're not just talking about, or the way I'm looking at it, I'm not just talking about spoiling where the characters are going, but I want to get to where they've come from.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
But, but that would still be a forward moving story from where we are.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, if the end of the film is still the very first thing that ever happened, it's still moving forward.
Indeed. Okay, before we tie ourselves into any more knots this evening, let's wrap this episode up. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I want to thank everybody that's taken the time to get involved with it.
As long as you're happy.
Yeah, well, that is the main thing, because, what
are our needs worth?
I've got to sit up late editing, so if I can do it and enjoy it, then all the more.
That doesn't need editing, that's done.
No, this has been tremendous fun, and as always, we are very grateful to the Star Wars, the Talk Star Wars community, the Star Wars Commonwealth. We love the other Commonwealth podcasts and everybody who is on them. We have a lot of deep respect and admiration for those people.
We do.
And all our wonderful fans.
Yeah, the listeners to me are the heart of this thing. And I've got to say, from the start, I've always thought of Talk Star Wars as more of a community than anything else. And if we can get more of you on the episodes, that will make my day every week, because this has been great fun hearing from you guys.
It's interesting to hear people's voices and just to hear the sheer diversity of regions and accents and everything is wonderful. Just to know how far we're reaching is just...
And
everybody out there needs to understand how sick we are of the four voices that we hear week in and week out.
I love the sound of my own voice, Paul. I don't know where you get the...
So why do you pretend to be other people?
He loves the sound of his own voices.
I
got to say, the amount of thought that went into these questions as well, and they're so challenging.
Indeed.
Such challenging things to sort of think about and talk about.
Hopefully we've... got people's juices flowing as well.
I'm sure we will hear.
It takes me 3 hours to come up with a Twitter poll, and these guys are pouring this stuff.
I know, it's amazing. We should get them writing the Twitter polls as well.
Big time. Yeah, we'll do so.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Do so.
All right.
Yeah.
Next week's Twitter poll will be listener suggested, so send me something in.
If we don't get one, they don't get one. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Strike. Twitter poll strike.
I'll say one, actually. Corey, you're exempt. You work hard enough on polls.
He does. He likes to work the polls.
That's it. He does.
Good old Corey. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you for listening to Talk Star Wars again this week. And don't forget, you can leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and take advantage of the Ron Burgundy guarantee. Whatever you write in there, I'll read. No hate speak or foul language, though, because we are a family show. So if you want to promote your own blog or podcast, that is the place to do it. You can also email us your questions and comments, as previously mentioned, to talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us on one of the many social networks that we are on: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, to name but a few. We are everywhere. With that said, guys, where can people find you between episodes?
Oh, you're up, mate.
You can find me on Movie Score News, at Movie Score News on Twitter, and moviescorenews.com, which is my little Movie Score blog. While I'm here, can I do a cheeky...
Yes.
Can I do a cheeky plug, please?
Indeed.
I'm going to throw myself out of the Millennium Falcon just as it exits light speed and hits the atmosphere.
What did we say?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm going to be donning a parachute hopefully in about 6 weeks or so. So I'm going to be doing a sponsored parachute jump on behalf of an extremely vital charity that exists within Kent. The charity itself is pinned to the top of my Twitter feed, so take a look. Have a look at the page I've built, please. Just take a time to look at, what's behind it, sort of thing. And if you can donate, I'd really seriously appreciate it. The work these people do is absolutely vital and it's paramount. They're very small, but they do vast amounts of work. So if you could help out, it'd be really appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. There's going to be a link. Well, as always, there is a link to Paul's Twitter account in the show notes of this episode. So you can just click on that. It'll take you straight to his profile and you'll get all the details for this very worthwhile cause right there.
Thank you, sir.
Rob, where can people find you on Tinternet?
So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RobWadeVision, at which point you will also now be able to see Paul's link because I've just retweeted it. So you can find me on there. You can also find me on emotionally14.com, which is emotionally14. It's got a Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. There's 2 podcasts. They're on a little bit of a break at the moment, like a summer holiday almost, while I'm rethinking a few bits, and they'll be coming back in a big way in the near future.
Nice.
Cryptic.
Very cryptic. Enigmatic, one might say.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And the rather unenigmatic exit for me, you can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and on Twitter I am at talkstarwars. Don't forget to leave us that 5-star review on iTunes if you haven't done so already. Even if you have, get back in there. We can have more fun with that. Thank you again for spending your evening with us, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care, all.
May the force be with you.
Be good to each other.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.